Hey, good morning. Happy Sunday. Welcome to Hobby Evolution episode. Wow, we are getting close to episode 700, episode 697 on this crisp fall day. We'll talk a little college football. We'll take a look at what's going on in the NFL today. We'll talk a little baseball. So, I know a lot of people like this time of year the best for sports, not me. I've said it before. I'm not a big fall guy. I'm appreciating it more this year. I took a drive to the post office yesterday and I was really appreciating the fall colors. It was a beautiful day, fall day, probably mid 50s yesterday. Sunshine, and I think I don't like fall because it's like it means winter's coming. It means summer ends and winter comes. And so I just blame fall. So I'm not a big fall guy, but I'm appreciating it more this year. And I think it's maybe because I'm working from home. The summer, those nice summer days where formerly I sat in an office wishing that I could have a job where I worked from home and maybe spend an hour outside during the day. Now I had that this year. I had that taste and I liked it. And now I'm ready to move on to fall. And then we can have winter. And I like the start of winter because the start of winter is Thanksgiving, which we all enjoy all of the food, which we also have Hallmark Christmas movies, which I like. And then we go into the Christmas season. We go into the holiday season, which I enjoy. And then and then I have to put up with January, February, March. Although I do love March because I get away for a week and go down to Arizona, watch baseball. But then I come home and it's like, oh my God, it's still winter. So here we are. Good morning. We've got a full chat. Wow. I did not expect this on a Sunday morning. Rich, good morning. Apparently I'm the only one watching. You've been joined. You have others this morning. James, good morning. What's going on? Welcome to the chat. Good morning, Herman. What is up? Herman did a little Oktoberfesting this weekend. I had some blue moons last night. I like to have a few beers while I watch like a Badger game. And I watched the Badgers in the entirety yesterday. Why? Because they played well. They didn't play uninspired football like they have most every weekend this year. They played Northwestern, a team that going in, I'm like, yeah, they really struggle playing in Evanston, which certainly was not the case yesterday. They played inspired football under head coach Jim Leonard, interim head coach, and beat the Wildcats 42-7 in offense we haven't seen in a while. So that was fun to watch. So toward the end of the game, it was like 35-0, and I'm like, it's 5 o'clock. I'm going to run down to the Quick Trip, grab me some Blue Moons, and finished out watching that game. Henry, good morning. Got to go already. Okay, well, thanks for jumping on. Herman says, I think I know where this title is going. Probably. In the title, stop giving eBay unnecessary money. It's not stop using eBay. It's just, and this doesn't affect most people, but there are a few. And hopefully it reaches somebody that may realize, oh, hey. So what it's referring to is use the cart function. Don't order 13 cards on 13 transactions from one seller. I had another instance yesterday, and so that's why I wanted to bring it up. It is, and I think it's going to happen for me more and more as I continue growing my eBay store and adding more and more listings where people will find numerous cards they want to purchase at great prices, which, by the way, gassy this morning. Check out my eBay store. Link is in the description. So I had another instance yesterday. I'm going to go over the numbers, and it would have saved me money on fees, but I'm not saying this from a selfish seller standpoint. I'm saying this from a selfish seller standpoint, and I want you to save here too, because in these instances, it costs you as a buyer more money. It costs me as a seller more money. and we're lining the pockets of eBay for no reason. So that's why I wanted to share this. So we stop giving eBay unnecessary money. We want eBay to thrive, because if eBay thrives, I thrive as a seller and you thrive as a buyer, getting good deals on the platform. So that's why I wanted to share that today. Victor, good morning. Go Bears. I did not. I have the baseball screen up on my app. So I was gonna check the Bear. What time do the Bears play? Rich says up to 10 watching. Much better. Cooter, good morning. Happy Sunday. Kentucky reseller, what is up? Hate to ask a business question. Hey, that's what we're here for. Do you have any issues scanning Prism or Select cards? Oh boy, do I ever. In fact, I have so many problems, I just stopped altogether. So yes, you are not alone. Kentucky reseller has the Fujitsu 7160, and the shiny cards are really dark. Yes, and it's mainly Panini that has those issues. Now, I formerly used the 7030, and I didn't have really any issues with like Topps Chrome and Bowman Chrome, as long as they were flat and not starting to curve. For some reason, it's whatever paper Panini prints on. It's because even some of the non-chromium finish on Panini cards struggle through those feed scanners. So I just stopped altogether scanning Panini cards, namely Prism, Select, Optic, the shinier cards, because they don't go through the scanner really well, and like you mentioned, they come out really dark on the scans. So that sucks, I know. I really don't know. I don't know. Can you put top loaders through the 7160? I guess if you're using a newer top loader, I don't know if the scan, because I just gave up on it. And most of my Prism cards, I'm not. It's like, and I'm a little different because I do a lot of shows. So the Panini, if it's not like a $10 card, I'll just throw it in my quarter boxes. So I have like a glut of Panini in my quarter boxes because I don't scan them. So so that's, unfortunately, there's not a good answer. It just doesn't work well, and especially with Panini, with whatever chromium finish paper they're using. Kyle, good morning to you. How about Tampa and Cleveland going 15 innings? Watched that while sorting cards yesterday. I still have not watched an inning of baseball. Playoffs. I have not watched an inning of playoff baseball. I thought, what day was it? Was it Thursday or Friday? I'm like, hey, there's games starting at like 10 a.m., 11 a.m. I'm going to watch playoff baseball. And it just didn't. And I think it's because I'm more of a Cubs fan than I am a baseball fan, I guess. Because if the Cubs aren't in the playoffs, I really don't have an interest in playoff baseball. But I did have that up on my screen. So we'll talk some baseball. So we've got 3 teams advancing already that shut out the Cleveland Guardians. Shut out the Rays. It took 15 innings yesterday, as Kyle mentioned, but the Guardians are moving on. So these games are a best of 3. So the Guardians beat the Rays 1-0 in 15 innings. So they won the series 2-0. Let's see. The Mariners, how about that game? 10-9. I didn't see that score. So the Mariners move on. They beat the Blue Jays 2-0. Let's see. And the Phillies, go Phillies. Go Philly. They shut out the Cardinals. Sorry to my Cardinal fan friends. The Cardinals are out. Phillies won the series 2-0. They blanked the Cardinals 2-0. The other game yesterday was the Padres and Mets, and that series now tied 1 game apiece. Yesterday, the Mets beat the Padres 7-3. Only 1 game on the docket today, and that is the Mets and Padres. So Mets and Padres tonight, 6 o'clock. So there you go, your Major League Baseball playoff update. NFL today, Bears and Vikings. I knew that, duh, because I've got some big Viking fan friends. So that game's a noon kickoff. Oh, the Packers and Giants. I'm like, Packers are up 10-0. It's 9:00. Packers and Giants are playing over in London. So they're on right now. It's in the first quarter, 10-0. Packers up on the Giants. Giants, I don't even know who's playing at quarterback for the Giants because I understand both of their quarterbacks were hurt last weekend. So I will get to see the Bears hopefully because the Packers are already on. It sucks when the Bears and Packers play at the same time. Because I'm in Wisconsin and the Packer game gets the coverage. Randy is back from the Monster. I'm curious, Randy, to hear what your thoughts were. If you can, if you're able to type in the chat, I'm curious on attendance. Was it well attended? And just from like a buzz, was there a buzz in the room? It seems like some shows have been flat lately. Was there a buzz in the room? How was attendance? And I guess what did you get? What did you get? Did you get any good deals? Red Light 34, good morning to you. TD Sports Cards, what's up? Rich says, as much as Yachty is your favorite player, how can you not have wanted the Cardinals? How can you not have wanted the Cardinals to move on? Because I hate the Cardinals. I want them to lose every game. I will say, what Albert Pujols did was awesome. I was rooting for him. I'm glad he hit 700 plus. I'm shocked he did based on how he performed the last couple of years. So I was rooting for Albert Pujols, but I hate the Cardinals, and I don't want them to win a single game. I would root for them to go 0-162 every single season. 0-162 Cardinals. So please don't take offense to that. My Cardinal friends. But yeah, I dislike the Cardinals that much. Let's see. Fall Creek says Packers are on now. Rich says hit the like button. Thank you, Rich. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new. My sub count has gone up a lot in the last week. I'm not sure where that's coming from, but thank you for hitting that subscribe button. I'm closing in on 2,000. My goal for 2022 was 1,000 subscribers, and here I am in October, nearing 2,000. Let's see. Terry, what's up? Good morning. Cooter says a wild card system is nothing but a money grab. I agree. Have I mentioned how I feel about Bud Selig lately? I agree with both accounts. It's just like 3-game series. I just don't like this setup. It is better than the one game playoff because they did away with it. Did they do? They did away with the 1-game wild card playoff. So I guess it's better. 3-game series is better than a 1-game playoff. The Cubs took advantage of the 1-game playoff back in was it 15 or 6? I think it was 15. I think it was the year before the World Series. Yeah, because they ran away with the division in 16. So it would have been 15. And they played the Pirates in the wild card and won that. They had Jake Arrieta, who was like one of the probably top 3 all-time pitching seasons in the history of baseball. Red Light 34 says, do you know how many cards you have in there in that room? Probably in this room. So I have around 835,000 Cubs cards, which are beyond the Bowman U fence. It's no longer a wall. I'm down to what? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's it. I'm down to 10 Bowman U blasters. And I think at the peak, I had 55 unopened boxes. I've ripped them all, but those 10. So beyond the Bowman U fence, there's about 835,000 Cubs cards. So that's along that back. And then, of course, we've got this. So there's probably, and it just keeps growing. It's just an absolute mess in here. There's the blue moon from yesterday. Oh, there's my coffee. So I've just got stuff everywhere. It's just a disaster. It's a sprained ankle waiting to happen in this room. As I hop over things. So I'd say there's probably 2 million cards in this room. How many total? Probably 3 million. I have sold close to 1 million cards this year because I ran out of room. So I'm trying to move bulk, and I do a lot of this. I don't want to move to the new house next year, so I'm getting ready to put another bulk sale together to sell a truckload of cards. Let's see. Where we at? Where we at? Wild card. Forgot the sarcasm font. Fall Creek says Jones. Oh, okay. So Jones is back in. Is Taylor? Was he cleared, or who's? I wonder who the backup is. I'm only curious because Davis Webb is the practice squad, and I found a couple like Davis Webb color rookies, and I'm like, ooh, if Davis Webb gets in the game, I may have to pounce on this. Rich says this is Manfred, not Selig. Didn't Bud Selig though initiate the wild card? Wasn't that a Bud Selig thing? I know currently it's Manfred in the system we have now, but the wild card was started by Bud Selig, if I'm not mistaken. TD Sports Cards, I hated the one game. The one game sucked, I agree. One game wild card was worth watching. There was someone winning and someone eliminated. I hate series. I think I like series because it's baseball. And that's just like even regular season is a series. It's not just a one game. It's like baseball was invented around not invented, but like historically, and here I am a get off my lawn old codger. It's always been this way, but I mean baseball's just a series game. It's not a because you have the pitching matchups, and it's a completely it's unlike any other sport. Baseball or baseball's unlike football or basketball. So it's I like the series aspect because it's so different. The game to game is so different than the other sports. Um, but I get that like the feeling of like uh win or go home. Like you look at the NCAA tournament, and I think that's part of the excitement during March Madness is the Cinderella and the one like win or go home, and that's exciting. But basketball is a completely different game, in a series in basketball would be kind of wild, kind of weird. And also with football. Let's see. Where we at? Where we at? And Jenny says that's from someone that watched the Twins get eliminated by the Yankees every time, but it was better baseball. Randy says attendance was abysmal at the Midwest Monster. That is not what I want to hear, because we have the big 250 table show next weekend in Loves Park. What I'm seeing, and I hate saying this, but I preach transparency. There's just not a lot of buzz around card shows. And is it the time of year? I don't think so, because last year there was a lot of buzz around card shows. Card shows were still buzzing in October, November. I mean, the Madison card show kept growing. And you look back and it's like, when was the peak of the hobby? Probably February, March, April of 2021. April, May, June were like my worst Madison card shows ever. I mean, they were also the first 3 shows I did. So, it continued to grow. But by like November, it was like, crap, I'm going to have to move out into the hallway next month. And then in January, it was so packed that I moved into the downstairs ballroom, added 40 tables, and it wasn't because I wanted to add 40 tables of dealers. It's because people were complaining they couldn't there were so many people in the upstairs ballroom, they couldn't get to tables, and they were just like, there's so many people here, I'm going to leave. So it was basically to kind of alleviate the crowd. So seeing this in October is a little concerning. I saw a photo of a regional card show here that was taken at like 10 a.m. yesterday morning, like an hour into the show, and there was like 12 people at the show, customers. And it's like, ooh, this is not good. So I'm a little concerned about, where we are in the state of card shows as a promoter. But just generally speaking, because there's a lot that's going into it. We can talk about the economy and all that stuff, which certainly has a trickle down effect. Is it the time of year? Are people doing it? That's been historically when I've done card shows, and I go back 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when the hobby was just bleh, bleh, like uh it was like no celebrities were collecting cards. It was just collectors collecting cards. Um and I was in it. I was selling cards at card shows, and uh the promoters would always be like, it'd be a poorly attended show, and the promoters would be like, well, we had to compete against the NASCAR race, and it's like, give me a effing break. You're not losing. Three people may have stayed home to watch the NASCAR race. That was legit. That was legit an excuse a promoter used at a show I did. And this was probably 5, 6, 7 years ago. Like, give me a freaking break. The NASCAR race. Sorry to my NASCAR friends. Man, I'm pissing off Cardinal fans. I'm pissing off NASCAR fans. The NASCAR race. No, but that's always like, well, we had a down show. Well, it's a nice day. And a lot of that does go into effect. And I always say I like a rainy, overcast day, especially in Madison. We have two lakes, and in the 3 months of nice weather months we get, that certainly does have an effect. And there's a lot of vacations. But my last show, I wouldn't say the attendance at the last Madison show was abysmal, but it was certainly worse than previous shows. And the last couple shows I've done, attendance is declining. So that's not something. And I was curious, Randy, because Breakout Cards Ryan Nolan tweeted something out Friday about two 300 plus table shows, and I don't know if the Monster was one of them, maybe Vegas. I'm not sure which shows he was talking about, but attendance at both was really bad, and so that does concern me significantly. Let's see. Red Light 34 says, let me know when you do the sale, please. You bet. Cooter says, Red Light, where are you at? Are you located in, because basically this is a local sale. So if you're in Northern Illinois, Wisconsin, Northeast Iowa, Southeast Minnesota, but otherwise it's not a bulk shipping. It'll just cost too much to ship. But if you're drivable within Madison, Wisconsin, we can certainly, if you're talking about the bulk. Cooter says, Bud started the demise of the big business formerly known as the beautiful game of baseball. Manfred is just the latest owner's lapdog. Maybe it's just a commissioner thing. I hated C-League, and I hate C-League more now than I did in 1998. And that's because he's now in the Hall of Fame, and he turned a blind eye to the guys that are being kept from the Hall of Fame. Let's see. Rich says, to Jenny, is a beloved Yankees fan. I always hope to see the Twins as the matchup. Where we at? Good morning, George. Actually, I should say good evening to George. Been developing film, so missed the start. No worries. Maybe because baseball is a series game is why they get less viewership than the NFL. I think so. And, I think it's a different game. People love scoring. People love offense. And, it's kind of like soccer. Why hasn't soccer taken off in America? When I was a kid, we would play soccer at recess. And it was like, but none of my friends, we didn't have and this is like the early 90s, we didn't have soccer leagues. Now there's soccer leagues, and it still hasn't taken off in America. It's taken off more than where it was in 1992. But that was always the thing growing up. It's like soccer is the next big thing. It's kind of like the metric system. The America is going to the metric system, and we had to learn the metric system growing up in school. And guess what? Here we are, and we still use miles, not kilometers, inches, and not I don't even know what the metric for meters. So it's soccer is going to be the next big thing. Well, we're still waiting. It's I don't think it's a sport for America. It is for some, but I think generally speaking, football, American football, baseball, like those are sports. Although baseball's I think the fandom in baseball is kind of declining, especially over the last few decades. But um, it's one of those things where it's like I think and I think maybe more and more because we have this like, I mean, it lights up and I'm distracted. Like I'm talking and I see my phone light up and I'm distracted by this damn phone. I'm going to put it in my pocket. And I think that is making us more and more uh impatient. What's the word I'm looking for? But we have a short attention span. And baseball requires a long attention span. And I think that's part of it. Like as the decades have gone by, humans attention spans have become shorter and shorter. And so it's not, we have so many other distractions now. We have these little phones in our pocket that connect us to the world. And in baseball's a long game, and it's like I don't have the attention span to do that, especially if it's a 15 inning game and the score is 0-0. Not many people are into those types of games. Yes, there are many people that are. There are many people that are not. Zach and Porter, what is up? I'm curious, Zach, if you went to the supper club last night in Middleton. Jenny says, I never knew you were a Yankees fan. I guess I assumed Rangers or Astros. Talking to Rich. Rich grew up in New Jersey, 12 miles due west of the George Washington Bridge. I've never been to New York. Can you believe that? I've been to Logan, Utah, Hammond, Louisiana, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Grand Forks, North Dakota, El Paso, Texas, Moscow, Idaho, Fargo, Wichita, Kansas. But I've never been to New York. I've never been to Philadelphia. I've never been to Washington, D.C. Basically, that whole part of the United States that pokes out up in the Northeast, I've never been to any of those states. I think Pittsburgh is the farthest east I've been in that direction. I've been to Florida and I've been to Georgia. But I've never been to the Carolinas. I've never been to Virginia, DC, Philly, Jersey, New York, Boston. I've always wanted to take a trip out to like and just do. I think my wife is on board once, like, and this is probably like a retirement type deal, but I think she's on board for like a road trip through the Northeast because I think that would be cool. I would like to see Vermont and New Hampshire because I like going to those like off the beaten path states like North Dakota or Idaho. I think it would be fun to do a drive, and I'd love to go to Fenway. First to hang out, go to a Red Sox game with Mark Hoyle. I think that would be a lot of fun. I do want to do a Northeast trip at some point. I hope to do it before I'm retired, though. Selling baseball cards, I might never retire. I may just die in my card room at the age of whatever age I pass away. Let's see. Rich says, I did have the Astros as my NL team back in the day. I never really had an AL, like obviously a Cubs, but for the American League, I never really had an American League team. I've always rooted for the White Sox. And I know like in Chicago, that's like sacrilegious to root for both Chicago teams, but they're in different leagues. Like I don't get the animosity between the two. I'll never forget when I was working in radio, and I think it was a buddy of mine who I worked with at the radio station, and somehow we swindled into going and covering the Bears. We talked my boss into it somehow. So we went to, and it was the end of training camp, and it was one of the first years they were in Bourbonnais. So we drove over to Bourbonnais. And then the Bears had like a family night at Soldier Field. So we were going to do, and we were like a Bears radio affiliate. So that's kind of one, we got like the perks of media. And so my friend Joe had relatives in like the South Side. So we went down there, we talked into it. I can't remember where I'm. Oh, White Sox, Cubs. I'm like, why am I telling this story? So his family is from like the South Side. So we met up with like his cousin and some of their friends on the South Side, like Oak Park, Chicago Ridge, somewhere in that area, Alsip. So we were going to a bar, and I'm wearing my Cubs hat because this is still summer, training camp, and I'm wearing a Cubs hat. We go to Cork and Carries, which is a big White Sox bar on the South Side, and one of the guys, he's like, I don't know if you should wear that hat. And said, I'm like, dude, it's a freaking hat. I walk in and like I probably had 3 MFers. 3 people MFer me because I was wearing a Cubs hat in a White Sox bar. And I'm like, you weren't lying. This is crazy. It was a wild time. I don't know why there's that animosity between the White Sox and Cubs. I root for the White Sox. If I would root for the White Sox in the American League. Let's see. Randy says, no buzz for shows. Money is nearly impossible to get out of pockets. That's just, I hate hearing that. Rich says, Kyle's last Arlington show, the smaller of his 2 shows, drew about 1,000 people on Saturday, dead on Sunday. That's my concern next weekend. We're doing a 2-day show in Loves Park, Illinois, the Indoor Sports Center, 250 tables. It's Saturday and Sunday. So that's kind of, it's like, oh man. And we've had a lot of people, dealers, like, I don't want to do a 2-day show. Which hosting the Madison Card Show makes me feel a little better about, what's better. Do people want 2-day shows or do they want 1-day shows? Let's see. Fall Creek says, looks like Tyrod Taylor is the backup. So that's okay. So it's good that both Taylor and Jones were cleared. Let's see. But there was a noon Cowboys game on Sunday, so that had a major impact on Sunday. And I will say, that is a valid excuse on Sundays, especially in NFL cities. I know that there's a show that's in Schaumburg, Illinois, and by like 11:30, when there's a noon Bears game, that Schaumburg show is dead. It's a Sunday show. So I do know that NFL Sundays hurt some of those. I haven't seen that though on college football Saturdays with the Madison Card Show. And I've avoided home Badger games, but really the Madison Card Show draws in so many people from like 2-3 hours away that I don't think that it's. Are there going to be some people that choose the Badger football game over the Madison Card Show? Sure, but you're also going to have that for like any event, like if it's on the same day. So we'll see on October 22nd, Madison Card Show is the same day as homecoming at UW. They play the Purdue Boilermakers. It's a 2:30 game, so hopefully people that do go to the game come out to the Madison Card Show in the morning, and then go down and tailgate. It's a pretty short drive from the Sheraton Hotel. Just drive John Nolan down into the city, down into the downtown area, and get over to Camp Randall. So we'll see how that affects, but I haven't noticed any like college Saturday. I haven't noticed college football, even being in Madison, Big Ten city. I have not noticed a big decline on college football Saturdays in the fall. Let's see. Paige and Deanie Bean, good morning to you. John is in the house. That 70s Card Show. People of the couch, Mornsies. Randy, good morning. Or Randy, we're already talking to Randy. We had more dealers than buyers. That's kind of what I was thinking. John says, is it a sport if you're sitting down? Randy says, the last Midwest Monster, we had to compete with the Chicago Spectacular, and this weekend we had no competition, and it was terrible. And that's something. Like, I know both the Monster and the Spectacular were successful. Was that in June? And in this weekend, no competition for the Midwest Monster. That's not a good sign. John says, the keyboardist. Where are we at? John said, the keyboardist, where are we at? There we are. The keyboardist from Rammstein burns more calories during a show than a car sitter. Let's see. Red light, Indiana. I can drive. Okay. Shoot me if you're on Twitter, that's the best place to reach me. shoot me a DM on Twitter, or let's see, basically any social media platform. I would say email, but I email's not a good way because I have so many emails that I lose so many. So if you have emailed me, hit me up on another platform because I have my in my inbox. I currently have 134,460 unread emails. So email is not a good. I should probably just create a new email for because that's mostly eBay stuff. So I need to maybe change that up. Terry, good morning. Rich says in the late 1960s, soccer was going to be the next big thing. Okay, that's good to hear. I wasn't around in the late 1960s, so it's just an ongoing. It's a never-ending. Soccer is the next big thing, and it never is. Soccer fans don't care if soccer takes off in America. Only Cardis care. Truthfully, yep. And I have I don't list soccer cards in my eBay store as much as some listeners want me to list soccer cards and hockey. I just choose to throw them in a quarter box, and maybe there's a big deal in there for the bargain box hunters because I don't know anything about soccer cards. They just go in a box. Sometimes if it's like a rookie of a player I've heard of, I'll like look at it, and if it comps at like $3, it just goes in the quarter box. If it's like $5 or more, I may, put it on eBay just because I took the time to actually comp it. But most of the time, I just avoid it altogether, throw it in the 25-cent box. Rich says 50 plus years later, it's still the next big thing. Paige and Deanie Bean dropping the link again for Dean and Andrew's LCS tour. Very cool. John says, oddly, English soccer and people use both imperial and metric interchangeably. Interesting. Randy says, I will be at Rockford, so we will see how it compares to the Monster. I was the very first table at the Monster, so I could see everything. In June, we had the line wrap around the building. Wow, and how crazy is that it declined just from show to show, June to October. Big highlight for Dan, 4 Mariano Rivera Bowman rookies. That is awesome. Let's see. I watched MLB playoffs all weekend, and attendance looks healthy. I don't mind going to a regular season game with no crowd. Let's see. John was in North Jersey the last 3 days. Rich says you need to go to Manhattan at least once in your life. Let's see. Zach and Porter says, no, we ate on State Street. How is, and I'm curious, man, here's the thing, and Herman can attest how little I get downtown Madison, even though it's 15 minutes or less from my driveway, because I still, 8 years later, have trouble navigating downtown. How is State Street looking? Because I haven't been on State Street in probably, it's pre-pandemic, so 3 years. Because I know like during we had some like riots, like not riots is kind of a strong term. I don't think they were quite riots, but there was a lot of looting on State Street, and there was, I know a lot of businesses went under because of that, and then I think the rioting happened right before the pandemic hit, and then the pandemic just and State Street, I know at one time State Street was looking really, really rough because there were so many businesses that had to close with a double whammy of getting looted on top of a pandemic. So I'm curious what your thoughts were on how did State Street look. I have not been, like I said, in 3 years, despite living less than 15 minutes away. Rich wants to know where in Jersey John was. One of our locations in Moonachie. Great city name. Flawed Thinker, what is up? Not missing much in D.C. Dan says you can come visit John Newman and me up in Syracuse when they have a Collectors Fest card show at the new State Fairgrounds. John sets up and I dig bargain boxes. Let's see. John says about 2 hours from my house. Easy enough to drive when needed and not stay over. Dan says more bar fights started by Cubs Sox nonsense versus any other topic. Cork and Cary is my hometown where I grew up 5 blocks away. Oh, awesome. Let's see. Red Light says NFL game. Packers are up 16-3. John, that's about 20 minutes from where I grew up. Rich adds in the same city as the Cowboys game. was Kyle's show, so that was really a valid excuse. Definitely. Paul, what is up? Going up against football is tough, not only for this live, what's up, or card shows. Hopeful for next Saturday, but not that optimistic. It's right now, card shows are just not, there's not buzz around card shows like we saw in post-COVID, post-pandemic stuff. It's just, and I think it's just, we are at the oversaturation point of card shows. And I kind of expected this to happen when they were just popping up in every city, and there's too much. And now it's not even, a year ago, it's like people were taking advantage. Like in Wisconsin alone, we had, like 12 to 15 monthly card shows pop up. And I mean, same could be said 30 years ago in the junk wax era. And now we're seeing the bigger shows, and I'm just as guilty. We're doing the big one next weekend in Loves Park and outside of Rockford. And I think is it too late? Is it too late? And I think it might be too late for more and more regional shows, as we're seeing from these large card shows. It's just customers, I think, are fatigued. There is card show fatigue. There are so many options, and people are just going to choose which card shows they go. Let's see. John says no one goes to Manhattan anymore. It's too crowded. Riots in Madison. LOL. I imagine people throwing their boat shoes at each other. Rich says I've been to Collectors Fest from my Beckett days. Still same promoter, and the show is still pretty good, I hear. And I think I think it's just kind of like, in general, the strong will survive, and a lot of the strength comes from tenure and longevity. And so will card show fatigue hit? We'll just use Dallas for example. Not I don't think we'll see, at least in the near future, we'll see anybody say the attendance at the Dallas card show was abysmal. But for new shows, new regional shows that pop up, bigger shows, I think that could be the case, where there's not, Dallas has become a destination. Chantilly is a destination. I think Burbank, just because of Rob Virus, that will, I think that's got the strength. It's got the backing. That'll be a strong show for the future going forward. But other, bigger regional shows that pop up, that are popping up, I don't know if they're long for the hobby. We will see. Hopefully I sound very pessimistic, but I think it's the reality. I mean, it is reality. Look at the responses to the Midwest Monster. Just 3 months ago, it was lines were wrapped around, and this weekend attendance was abysmal. And so it's the new reality. We are out of it, and I think most of us could have predicted, this isn't long lasting. Let's see. Rich says Burbank is adding a second show for next year. That's awesome. And that's one, Dallas is on my calendar for next year. I'm not sure when, probably second half of 2023. And maybe I'll throw Burbank in, we'll see. But Dallas is definitely on my calendar for next year. It's probably going to be second half, because the Cubs convention is back. So that's 3 days that I'll be out in January. I'll be out in Arizona for a week in March. So I don't want to tack on a Dallas trip. We're also renovating a home January through April, May. So those are enough trips. But and then the National in July. So maybe I'll October, November, December, one of those months, hit the Dallas show. John says headed to Orlando this morning in one of the greatest local card shops there is. Happy football Sunday to all. Go Eagles. So let's talk about the topic of the day. Stop giving eBay money they don't need. So what does that mean? And I've had people ask me this question, and kind of like scanning Panini cards in the Fujitsu feed scanners, there's not a good answer. There's not a good answer to this question. And the question is, how can I get people to stop buying numerous cards and paying for them separately? There is a function within eBay, and it's basically doesn't if you go into my eBay store and you see a 1990 Topps Cal Ripken and like, ooh, I'm gonna buy that, and you click buy, and then you see a Joey Votto card, oh, I'm gonna buy, and if you do this separately, uh, you're gonna pay separately, and I'm going to be charged a 30-cent transaction fee on each one of those. So as a seller, it's annoying because I'm paying these unnecessary selling fees to eBay. But as a buyer, you could be losing out money as well. So you need to use the cart function, add to cart. So when you go in and you're like, hey, this guy's got a Cal Ripken Jr. card I want, add to cart if you plan to continue shopping. Add to the cart, go to the next card. Oh, here's the Joey Votto card I wanted. Add to the cart. Maybe those are the only 2 cards you want. But hey, he's got a deal. If I buy 7 or more, I get 25%. So I'm going to look for 5 more cards. And I find 5 more cards, and I'll add them all to the cart. And then boom, I pay them. And they're in one transaction. So me as the seller, I'm charged 30 cents plus the final value fee on those 7 cards. And so that's where I pay my fee. So how do you get people to do that? Well, you can write in the description, and people don't read descriptions. I know because I'm guilty. I don't read descriptions unless I'm buying into a break, because then I want to know, do all cards ship? And usually I read those descriptions like 3 times over because I want to make sure I'm getting all the cards that are pulled of the Cubs. But most of the time, I don't read descriptions. So does it work? It might, but most people don't read descriptions, so they're just going to move on and just click buy, and all of a sudden you have 7 transactions from the same person, and it's not easy to pull. It's also an annoyance for me, non-monetarily, because now I've got to go into the eBay and it's like, okay, this guy bought this card. I got to mark it shipped. The tracking is only going to go to one item unless I do I'm sure there's a way that I can make that easier. I haven't looked into it. But here's the example. This happened again to me. This happened to me yesterday. I had somebody buy, was it 10 cards? 10 cards. Yeah. So I had somebody buy 10 cards. They were all $1.50. So a 10 card purchase, that's the goal. When I list cards at $1.50 free shipping on eBay, the goal isn't to sell one card for $1.50, another card to this guy for $1.50, another card for $1.50. That's not the goal. Is to get people to buy 10 cards in one transaction. So this person bought 10 cards at $1.50, and guess what? He bought all 10 of them separately. So this cost me money, but more importantly, it cost him, my customer, money. And who got that money? Somebody's getting that money. eBay. Stop giving eBay that unnecessary money. So in this example, he bought 10 cards at $1.50, so he paid $15. Let's just throw tax out of it. Say he's from a tax-free state. So he paid $15. So he paid $15 for those 10 cards. And they were in separate transactions. So instead of me as the seller paying 30 cents for one transaction, I paid $3 in transaction fees, which only 30 cents was. Had they used the add to cart, bought them all at once, it was $2.70 of fees that I didn't need. I didn't need to pay. So it cost me $2.70 as a seller, but more importantly, it cost this buyer $3.75. Why? Because I have volume discounts in place. And volume discounts don't go into effect if you buy them separately, because eBay treats that as one transaction. They don't see that as 10 transactions in 10 sales in one transaction. They see that as 10 separate transactions, which does not apply to volume discounts. So this buyer cost himself $3.75. He cost himself 25% of his total pay. So all he had to do was add to cart, add to cart, add to cart the cards he wanted instead of paying for them all separately. And had he done that, he would have only paid $11.25. But instead of doing that, he paid for them separately, and he paid $15 for those same 10 cards. And then I paid 9 unnecessary transaction fees at 30 cents each for $2.70. So the buyer, so if he would have done this the correct way and added to the cart, the buyer would have saved $3.75 and I would have saved $2.70. Now you're thinking, but wait, he paid this amount. You made more money. I did. By him doing this, I made more money. But it was also more of a hassle for me as the seller. So I made what? 375 minus 270. So I profited an additional $1.05 from him doing it. But it took more time, and I have those volume discounts to help the customers out. It's not about me making another dollar. I want to save him $3.75, and he might use that next time in my eBay store. So use the cart function. And this is more, I do a lot of tips and tricks for eBay from a selling standpoint, from a seller standpoint. This is for the buyer standpoint, and just be cognizant of, and I know it's tough because sometimes I'll see something I like out of an eBay store, and I actually don't buy too many cards on eBay. When I do, they're bigger cards, like the one that I just got in the mail yesterday or 2 days ago, the 1933 Tattoo Orbit Riggs Stevenson. So I'll buy bigger cards like that. But every once in a while, if it's like, I just want to buy like maybe Topps Pro Debut autographs for, maybe they're $5 each, and I'll go in and I'll see, and it's like, ooh, I want this, and buy it. And it's like, oh crap, I should have just waited and looked at his other stuff. So I get it. Like it can't always be perfect, but if you start buying like 2 cards, 3 cards, 4 cards, just hold up, be patient, and use that cart function, because it could save. Now, not everybody has volume discounts in effect. I do in my eBay store, which you can check my eBay store out. Over 22,000 active listings. Added a bunch of singles last night on the couch. Listed pretty much all of my Pro Debut with the exception of the inserts. I have not listed the inserts yet, but I've gone through. I did all the base. So all the base singles that are non-Cubs, 188 of those. Actually, I think 187. Somebody came in and bought all the Jordan Walkers. So those are in. I think I've now listed all of the color and autos as well. So I just have the inserts. Unfortunately, the WWE Heritage is not in Card Dealer Pro. So I'd sorted I think I opened 25 of the hanger boxes that I bought. Now it's like, they're not in Card Dealer Pro. So it's going to take me a little. I'll still utilize Card Dealer Pro for those scans, but the AI is not going to recognize them. So it's going to take me a little longer than what it would if they were in their database. So yeah, check out my eBay store. If you buy 7 or more cards at regular price, you get that 25% discount at checkout. It's automatic. I will advise, I say regular price because if you send an offer, and this is what I don't like about eBay is I've had this happen a couple times where, say they're $1.50 cards. I'll have somebody come in and offer $1.35. So that's what is that? 15? No, I don't know what that percent is, but they'll offer $1.35. It's under 25% on like 7 or 8 cards. And then they send me a message, hey, I didn't get the discount. It's like, well, unfortunately it doesn't. And that's not me. That's not my policy. It would be in certain instances, if somebody came in and, offered me $1 each on 30 cards, I'm going to take it. That's 33% off. But if you offer me $1 on 7 cards and then want the 25% discount, well, then you're looking at what? 58%. So I'm not going to do that. But that's an eBay thing. That's and I wish there was language that would pop up when they like list these off, like, hey, this is not valid for volume discounts, because that is on eBay's end. That's not my policy. My policy would be a little gray, but that is on eBay's back end, where it's just not eligible on when you send offers. So let's check out the chat before we go this morning. Let's see. John's going to Orlando Sports Cards on OBT. Rich says, yes, I went there 30 years ago on a Beckett show trip, and it was a great store then. Glad to hear it's still a great store. Let's see. Set Builder's Dream. Let's see. Picked up a whole bunch of the 1973 Blue Team checklist cards there on my first trip. Needless to say, all gone now, but it was great then, and glad to hear it's still great today. Rich says, happy anniversary, and don't tell the missus you were listening to Bo. Happy anniversary to Herman. And damn, as the saying goes, you outkicked your coverage. Something Sports Cards, what is up? Good morning to you. Hit 1,000 listings early this morning on my way to 50K. I love it. I love it. I am just over 22,000. My goal a year ago, so I am 1 week away from my 1 year anniversary of being in this full time. My goal was 50,000 active listings. It took a lot longer. If I would have known, I don't know if Car Dealer Pro was out a year ago, but if I would have known about it, and I know Chronazio was out, but it wasn't, and I had to scale up to it. The Fujitsu feed scanner really helped to get there. That really helped. And I definitely think that, I could probably get to, I think I still could 1,000 in the next 6 days if I really go gung ho this week, which will be difficult because the big indoor Sports Center card show is next weekend. So, by the way, that's in Loves Park, Illinois. 250 tables. Hope to see you 10 to 5 on Saturday and Sunday, October 15th and 16th. Let's see. TD Sports Car says, congrats. Terry says, I never thought of these extra charges, adding info for the buyer to my description template now. Maybe some will see it. Definitely. It's, and I think, I may have done that. I didn't add language about, like add to cart, but I did do, I think within Card Dealer Pro, it's part of my template where it says, buy 7 or more cards, receive an automatic 25% discount at checkout at regular price, or something to that effect. I did put regular price, but let's see. John says, was going through Jenny's store last night. Lots of Platinum Anniversary Chrome that was appealing. Very nice. So that's what I had for today. We're just shy of the hour mark. So next Saturday, Sunday, the Midwest premiere, a 250 table show at the Indoor Sports Center, Loves Park. It's about an hour west of O'Hare Airport, just outside of Rockford. Hope to see you there. It's 10 to 5 on Saturday, Sunday. Madison Card Show is October 22nd, 2 weeks away. We're 13 days away from that. 125 tables at the Sheraton Hotel on John Nolan Drive. Come out in the morning and head down to Camp Randall Stadium, watch Wisconsin play Purdue for homecoming on Saturday, October 22nd. Hopefully we'll get some out-of-towners coming back from homecoming. When I talked to the hotel last show, I'm like, man, I'm concerned about the October show. It's the same day as homecoming. More my concern is traffic on John Nolan at the exit of the Beltline at John Nolan Drive for customers, midday, late morning. But they're like, yeah, but you might have we've been booked for several months for homecoming. There's going to be a lot of football fans, a lot of sports fans. And I'm like, ooh, a lot of sports fans that haven't been to the Madison Card Show. This could be good. So I'm excited for that part of it. So that's October 22nd, 13 days away. We're back at it tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central for Hobby Evolution. Of course, with next weekend show, I will not be live for Hobby Evolution either Saturday or Sunday. We will do a walkthrough. I'll do a live shot from the show Saturday, probably mid-morning Saturday. We'll see. I could be hung up on other duties, but I do plan to try to spend 30 to 45 minutes doing a walkthrough on Saturday. So hope to see you there in Loves Park next weekend. Again, if you have any questions on topics today or tips, shoot me like a DM on Twitter. That's the best way. Instagram, I'm not very Instagram savvy. I might get around to seeing it. Email is not good because I just those get missed. So I think Twitter DM is the best way to go. So that's all for today. Have a great Sunday. Go Bears and Vikings at noon today. So we will talk again tomorrow. As you leave, hit the like button. Appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, and we will talk tomorrow.